I'm Thomas from Meaningful Gigs again, and welcome back to Heroes of the Creative Revolution. In this second part of our episode with DesignOps veteran Michelle Chu, she talks about hidden resources for DesignOps team of one, some challenges she's faced in the role, provides some sage career advice, and much more. Let's dive in. When one operates as a design team of one, they're obviously limited just by the fact that you are one, but you need to do a lot. How have you tapped into hidden resources, or what hidden resources are there for people that are in a similar situation?
So I've found in every place I've worked, there are people around the corner who are looking to learn and grow skill sets to get them to the next leg of their career. An easy place to start could be your existing design team. There are people on the design team usually that can feel that there are more efficient ways to do things, and they want to do them and they want to start. In fact, that person was me, actually, when I was a designer working in marketing and branding design. I realized that we were losing files all the time because we did not have a consistent way to organize files or label files. And I took it upon myself to do that because I wanted to find files faster too. And it was slowing down my process. So I did it. And then I transitioned my career into design operations. A lot of designers do this. Someone on the team is just frustrated. Like, why can't we find anything? This is not rocket science. And they start to organize stuff. And then they start to realize that there's ways to create centralized, single source of truth. Getting everyone on the same page. And it is an effort, but it is worth it, because then you no longer have people asking you where things are, which should just be a basic thing everyone can do. Usually that person creates that role, and that's the first design ops person. And then they've got the credibility within the company already. People believe that they can do it, and then if they're successful, they hire people under them. Now, if you don't have a design team, if you don't have anybody who you can, help with that on the design team, who's not on the design team that wants to learn this stuff? I worked with at least 2 executive assistants at 2 different companies who were curious. One was an assistant to the marketing director, and he wanted to grow his career into project management. And so he asked me for help, and he basically was able to convert his role into a junior project manager. I basically showed him, what my timelines looked like, how to schedule reviews, what to watch out for, how to do budgeting, and he grew into that role beautifully. Another person I worked with at the early stage startup was also basically an office assistant, and she wanted more to do, and I needed resources. So I taught her how to look for designers with certain skill sets, and how to introduce them to our company and encourage them to apply. And then once we had them, onboarded, I helped her create the onboarding process for offsite designers. And then she created, with my guidance, an entire onboarding process with a learning platform to onboard designers. So, she didn't have a design background, but it didn't matter. She was smart, she was organized, and she wanted to do it. So those are the things I look for. You can find those hidden resources. I also am fanatic about detail. So I look for people who are very, very good at detail. They are good at everything from spelling to organization to communication. These are traits that anyone can use in any type of ops role, and they don't have to have design backgrounds to do it.
So after your 20 years of vast experience in design and design ops, if you had to think back to when you were starting out, back then, what advice would you give to yourself?
There's so many things. I think the one that I'm even to this day practicing is have more patience. It's hard to change anything, much less a design process. I have fundamentally felt that with every design process I create and fine tune, I am actively trying to make the lives better of everyone, the designers involved and the stakeholders involved. But it's interesting. People just don't like change. they want it. They want the benefit. They know something has to change, but there's just something inherent in us that we recoil and we don't like it. So I think having more patience with myself and having more patience with other people, enabling them to not be okay with it and to, help them along in a much slower manner. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter as much how fast it's done, but it matters more if people feel good about it and if they're actively using it.
What would you kind of categorize as the biggest DesignOps challenge, or one of the bigger ones that you faced in your career?
I started working at an early stage startup as the first DesignOps hire, and basically the platform was a rapid research platform where we would get users for survey and video recording for user research. And as an added bonus, we would create prototypes on demand for these tests. Because the promise of the research platform was that we would get our clients' data in 24 hours or less. Working backwards, that meant we would have to get the design work done in 3 hours or less in order to run the test. And that wasn't working when designs was taking two weeks to deliver. All the designers recruited were off-site, they were freelance, they were not in the office, and they didn't have shared context. To be fair, neither did we. These design requests were coming from clients and Fortune 500 companies that had been using our platform to create these tests. So it's complicated in that it boils down to designers offsite, little knowledge of the process, have to give us something back in 3 hours, can't ask questions, can't get on a call, can't do an email. This is very scary for a lot of designers because we are trained to ask questions and get feedback. But the promise of this platform was not that. The goal at this point in the company's at this point in the company, early stage, the company's goal was to get data back as fast as possible. So it was really important to staff designers that were comfortable making decisions. And I staffed a variety. I staffed very junior, I staffed mid-level, and I staffed very senior. And through that process, I learned that very senior designers weren't the best fit for this because they really wanted to know that they were doing it right, and they really prided themselves on that level of quality. To be honest, we didn't need that high level of quality. We needed a decent level of quality because they were being prototyped and they had to feel like they were a product, but they didn't have to be perfect. And so I had more success with mid-level designers because they had enough knowledge where they could make logic leaps and they had enough confidence, but they weren't so hung up on doing it the quote unquote right way. Spoiler alert, there is no right way. The right way is what your company dictates based on their norms. So, doing that, staffing mid-level very strong designers, seasoned in specific prototyping tools that we were using at the time, and really putting them through an onboarding process that made them understand, hey, you're not going to have all the answers and you're just going to have to create. And that's what we need from you. It's going to be quick, it's going to be fast. And we're going to rely on your design skills and problem solving skills to fill in the gaps on the project. And then on the requester side, setting them up for, hey, these are the basics we're going to need. What are the screens you need to show? What is the level of activity you need to show? And getting that in off the bat. And anything that was missing from that, we cut it off. So like setting those things very clearly up front, and giving these guardrails actually enabled me to do that. I was able to do it in 3 hours or less. And actually, when I was given that challenge, I actually said, there's no way I can do it. But I was wrong. You can do it. What ends up happening is you change other parameters. So in terms of quality of design, we weren't as strict with certain standards because we couldn't be in that time frame. And that was okay. That was sanctioned by the head of the company. So, it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, but it taught me a lot. Basically, anything is possible, but you have to change your preconceptions of how to solve it. And you have to change what you think is true in order to achieve it.
Great. Yeah, I love that story, how you even thought yourself, no, this is not possible. But as you kind of thought outside the box and made certain parameters more flexible in order to serve the ultimate goal, you were successful. That's great. Now let's talk a little bit about fun. What's the most fun you've had in DesignOps?
So in my last company, I had the opportunity to create several events that brought together the product design team and the brand design team. I helped design an event where it was sort of like speed dating. Basically, I would match two designers, one product, one brand marketing in a room, and I gave them a few questions to ask each other. And that really helped create such positive sentiment. And the team was basically all remote. This was during COVID, but separately from that, the company had a 60% remote team anyway. So, across different countries and different time zones, I created this environment that helped them connect to each other more closely, and they loved it. They really wish they had more time to talk, which I get, but that's a good sign. And I did an exit survey because I do those things all the time now, based on my user research background, and we just got such a high positive sentiment. I think it's very, very important that we interact with these people as humans first. I think it can be very hard to do, especially in roles where you're remote and you're kind of stuck in this TV box all the time. So I wanted to give the team the opportunity to just have fun. I also created sort of game nights. Game nights were really like Friday afternoons because that was the only time we could do for our time zones. But game nights where we played interactive games together, and then also created virtual rooms where we played games together as well. And I really was very happy that people would be messaging me, and the design managers would tell me that their teams just absolutely loved it. So that's the most fun I've ever had.
You mentioned that you're working on a do-it-yourself DesignOps kit, right? Because after all the expertise you've amassed, you want to kind of share that with the community. Can you speak more to what you're creating?
Absolutely. So at this point in my career, I really want to give back to the DesignOps community all of the lessons that I've learned. And I know firsthand how hard it is to be a DesignOps team of one with very little resources, conflicting priorities, conflicting stakeholders. So I am putting together a DIY DesignOps kit for DesignOps Kit for One, where anyone can do it. You can be on the design team. You could be a design ops practitioner. You could not be on the design team and see all the problems and maybe want to help. But it's just going to be like a basic kit where we're going to go through the questions you should ask yourself, the questions you should ask of the stakeholders around you, the design stakeholders, the designers themselves, and also the people involved in the process, the assumptions you've made and how to prove or disprove them by finding data, and then the steps you can take once you've gathered that information. So I'm very excited. It is the V1 of this. It's just something that I've been thinking about for a long time. So if you're interested in getting this DIY kit for a DesignOps team of 1, you can send me a contact request on LinkedIn, and I will be happy to get that to you. It will be free. I just want everyone to have the tools that they need to be successful, to creating better design processes and give designers more time back in their day so that they can create even better solutions for us all.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, Michelle, thank you for taking the time to speak with us. And you have anything else you'd like to say before we sign off?
Just that, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm always happy to chat about what I've learned, and I'm looking in the next year to maybe write more about what I've learned, and I have a deep desire to give my knowledge to other people so that they can be more successful in their roles. So thank you for this opportunity.